Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Modi holds phone call with Prime Minister Christopher Luxon. Landmark India-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement announced. Under the FTA, New Zealand will invest $20 billion into India over 15 years, asserts Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese apologizes to the nation and the Jewish community over the Bondi Beach mass shooting that killed 15 people.
As Prime Minister, I feel the weight of responsibility for an atrocity that happened whilst I'm Prime Minister. And I'm sorry for what the Jewish community and our nation as a whole has experienced.
Sheikh Hasina hits out at Yunus-led interim government in Bangladesh, accuses him of failing to maintain law and order and allowing extremism. Thailand and Cambodia officials to meet on December 24th for border talks. Thai Foreign Minister insists on demining for a ceasefire to prevail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a telephonic conversation with the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Christopher Luxon, on Monday. The two leaders jointly announced the successful conclusion of the historic, ambitious and mutually beneficial India-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement. The leaders agreed that the FTA would serve as a catalyst for greater trade, investment, innovation and shared opportunities between both the countries. The leaders also welcomed progress in other areas of bilateral cooperation, including defence, sports, education and people-to-people ties. Well, this is India's 7th FTA in the last few years after Oman, the UK, EFTA countries, UAE, Australia and Mauritius. The FTA would significantly deepen bilateral economic engagement, enhance market access, promote investment flows, strengthen strategic cooperation between Delhi and Wellington, and also open up new opportunities for innovators, entrepreneurs, farmers, MSMEs, students, youth of both the countries across various sectors. With a strong and credible foundation provided by the Free Trade Agreement, both leaders expressed confidence in doubling bilateral trade over the next 5 years, as well as an investment of $20 billion in India from New Zealand over the next 15 years. New Zealand Prime Minister in a social media post said, and I quote him here, "I've just spoken with India's Prime Minister Modi following the conclusion of the Free Trade Agreement. The FTA reduces or removes tariffs on 95% of our exports to India. It's forecast that New Zealand exports to India could increase between $1.1 to $1.3 billion per year over the coming 2 decades. Boosting trade means more Kiwi jobs, higher wages, and more opportunities for hard-working training New Zealanders. The agreement builds on the strong friendship between the two countries. India is one of the fastest-growing economies in the world, and this gives Kiwi businesses access to 1.4 billion Indian consumers. Our government is relentlessly focused on fixing the basics and building the future, with new trade deals like this helping to grow our economy so that all Kiwis can get ahead." Unquote. Speaking to media, India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said that under the landmark agreement, New Zealand will invest $20 billion in India over the span of 15 years.
This $20 billion, we must see in the context of the size of the New Zealand economy. So far, in the last 25 years, New Zealand has only invested $70 million. So they are committing to invest now 1,80,000 crores. So from 630 crore investment over 25 years, New Zealand has committed to invest 1,80,000 crores in the next 15 years. When you see this in context you recognize what a big gain it is for India. This will open up, as I said, collaboration in several sectors, particularly benefiting our farmers, our dairy, and our MSMEs.
This FTA turns ties with New Zealand from friendly to formidable, especially for trade and innovation.
This is the 7th free trade agreement. All of them with developed economies with significantly larger per capita incomes than India, demonstrating that we are expanding trade relations rapidly with countries who complement the Indian economy rather than compete with India. The FTA turns New Zealand ties from friendly to formidable, especially for trade, innovation and youth-driven growth.
Jessica Taneja, DD India correspondent, joins us in the studio now. Jessica, yes, first of all, Indian dairy farmers and are expected to benefit significantly as part under this, as per the terms of this FTA. Could you highlight the significant aspects of this FTA for us?
Well, the formal signing of this agreement is expected in the first quarter of next year, where they've legally scrutinized it and ironed out all the details that are expected to now come through with this FTA now come into force with the announcement. But the significant part of this FTA, which Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal also highlighted, was the fact that given the population of New Zealand, this is a significant, free trade agreement that they have been able to sort of come around with in terms of negotiations. It was done in a record time of 9 months. And more importantly, it is bringing in $20 billion worth of investments in the next 15 years when the reporters had asked the ministers and the team, the negotiating team, they were of the view that there could be investments in various sectors, for example, in manufacturing, in infra, developing and building resilient supply chains given the kind of economic heft that India comes with. So that's one sector, but also looking at India's engineering products, electronics, auto parts. These are very important components of exports. And with New Zealand now granting export-free, in fact, complete duty-free exports to their market, it certainly does at the same time ensure that this becomes more lucrative for the Indian exporters who are now looking to diversify their products as well as into the markets because of the because of the uncertainties that we see around tariffs and also various confrontations that are happening on various borders. So the Indian exporters have seen how the 25% additional tariffs are hurting them. So they've also been able to get more market access, which would ensure duty-free exports. And here, all Indian products get duty-free exports. So that certainly makes it significant, whereas India is offering, its sectors as well, except, of course, dairy, which Minister Goyal said that is a sensitive sector and they wanted to protect the farmers and the agricultural sector as well. But at the same time, they say that this is an important deal and in the next 15 years, there's a lot that can be expected in terms of India and New Zealand.
Partnership, yeah. So apart from products, what about the student exchange movement between India and New Zealand, and also talk us through the visa norms that have also been eased for the Indian workers?
Right, and that was an important announcement made by him, and those negotiations are not easy to sort of reach a finalization of sorts, because mobility and engagement is one of the contentious issues given how immigrations and customs enforcement in various countries function. But when it comes to New Zealand, starting with the students, the minister announced that students will get a 2-year work visa. A 3-year degree course students will get, a degree course student would get 3 years work visa. And similarly for other graduates in STEM as well, 4-year work visa for, in fact, STEM students, focusing the enhancement when it comes to, promoting education in scientific, world and contribution to the research and development projects. He also said that 5,000 professionals like yoga practitioners, nurses, chefs and caregivers, they will be given professional visas. So certainly these norms, as and when they're eased, would promote more trade, efficiency, and also give the Indian exporters, another market to access, because there are markets that the Indian exporters are thriving at this point, but at the same time, given the kind of uncertainty and the change in world order in terms of how countries trade with each other, it's changing rapidly, it's evolving. So are the Indian exporters looking to sort of benefit from it and find their own options in whichever country they feel fit.
Okay. The Commerce Minister praised the all-women team of this all-women team negotiating with the New Zealand side. So let's emphasize that point also in our discussion. The minister said that India has now free trade agreements with 3 I countries out of the 5, with the UK, Australia and New Zealand now. So are we closer to inching a trade deal with the US and of course Canada?
Well, he did mention, and there was a question, put forth about where is the trade deal or the negotiations or discussions with the United States and other countries. But he did seem to point out that with the United States, at least it's in the advanced stages. You had the United States trade representative team also visit New Delhi just more than a week ago. So it is moving along, but at the same time, there are a lot of decision makings which, of course, happened with the US president. But that's America. When it comes to Five Eyes, you already had a trade deal with Britain this year, which was quite significant in its own way. You also had a trade deal with Australia, which has been a long partner, also part of the Quad. So again, an important strategic partner for India, apart from the United States. And again, now we have New Zealand with, relationships gradually looking quite warm with Prime Minister of New Zealand as well. They've had several exchanges. He even had a visit to India where, the business forum was engaged. So in terms of, how the investments coming in from New Zealand, and of course, the third country with whom India has now had a free trade agreement, or at least now with the finalization and signing later on, is New Zealand. And it marks an important point. With Canada, he said that they're discussing the terms of reference with Canada. So that also looks like pretty much on the path of you could have something in the next year. And of course, the first quarter of next year, this FTA would be formally signed. Tanvi.
All right. Jessica, India has said that as a result of the FTA, New Zealand could invest $20 billion in India over the next 15 years. In which areas is such investment likely to be forthcoming, and what could be the specific gains for India here?
Right, and the $20 billion that is going to be invested in the next 15 years, he did point out that, of course, it will be in the manufacturing sector, it will be the infrastructure sector, but it will also depend on the coming years as to which sectors are prioritized, given the kind of discussions that have been taking place with the New Zealand side. So, of course, that will remain to be open. Those options, as Petal Dillon, who is the chief negotiator for this FTA on the Indian side with the New Zealand, and also forgot to point out that the women-led team in this achieved this important task in about 9 months, and all women-led, and I think the union minister did not shy away from pointing out that this is how effectively things can be done when women are at the helm of affairs.
So, on that note,
good example.
Thank you very much, Jessica, for explaining to us the details of this FTA. Yes, the formal signing will come in the first half of next year. You're watching DD India News. Still to come on the show. Supreme Court's definition of the Aravalli Hills aim to curb illegal mining, asserts India's Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav. India to remain one of the fastest growing major economies in 2026 as per the MasterCard Economics Institute. And divers in Croatia celebrating Christmas all the way at the bottom of Lake Zarun in Zagreb.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. when supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. On to news from Bangladesh now. In an email interview with Asian News International, former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, addressed the spiral of violence in Bangladesh, which included the lynching of a Hindu man, which has elicited deep concern from India, especially in the light of recent threats by radical groups to Indian missions in the country. Former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina sharply criticized the Mohammad Yunus-led interim government for straining bilateral ties with New Delhi. She asserted that the current tensions are entirely Yunus's making, as his administration issues hostile statements against India, fails to protect religious minorities and allows extremists to dictate foreign policy. Hasina highlighted India's decades-long role as Bangladesh's steadfast partner, emphasizing that deep fundamental ties will outlast any temporary government. She accused Yunus of emboldening extremists who attacked Indian missions, placing them in power, releasing terrorists and granting immunity to hooligans. Warning of multiplied lawlessness, minority persecution and eroded credibility under Yunus, Hasina expressed confidence that legitimate governance will restore the sensible 15-year partnership. Also, Bangladesh police on Sunday said that they have no specific information to suggest that Faisal Karim Masood, the prime suspect in the killing of Inqilab Manch spokesperson Sharif Usman bin Hadi, has left the country. Addressing an emergency press conference at the Ministry of Home Affairs, Additional Inspector General of Police K. Rafiqul Islam said that law enforcement and intelligence agencies are actively trying to trace Faisal's whereabouts. We do not have specific information about his last location, but there is confirmation that he has fled abroad. He said, adding that no concrete evidence has yet emerged linking any political party to the murder. And Naval Singh Parmar joins us from Dhaka now. Okay, Naval Singh, the prime suspect in the killing of Inqilab Manch spokesperson Sharif Usman bin Hadi has left the country. How should we see this development in the light of security surveillance in the country? And give us an update on the progress of the probe so far.
Actually, there were a narrative in first week after the attack on the Osman Hadi that the accused, alleged accused, has left the country, and they were alleging that he crossed the border to India. But yesterday there was a press conference in which the IGP of Bangladesh Police has clarified that they are not having enough evidence or even specific inputs regarding the Hadi's murderer has crossed the border or he has fled the country. So it is the misleading fact or what was claimed by the earlier times by law enforcement agency as well as the political leaders in Bangladesh, and what police have revealed in yesterday's press conference, that they don't have a specific input.
Okay, and what about the progress on the probe of the lynching of a Hindu man in Mymensingh?
Yeah, in fact, yesterday there was a press conference from the Rapid Action Battalion, RAP, that there is no evidence or any proof that the Dipu Chandra Das has made any religious comment or derogatory comments on any religion. And there is a revelation that the factory owner and some of the internal issues with the staff leads to the mob lynching of the Dipu Chandra Das, and the timely action taken by the lack of timely action taken by the police is the responsible in this matter. And police also claim that if police have reached on time and the timely action could have been taken, then the life of Dipu Chandra Das could have been saved.
Okay. Yes, all these developments come as Bangladesh is set to hold its elections in February 2026, with political tensions also running high. Is there a demand by the political parties to, have a fair election? Because obviously the way things are going, it all seems very volatile as of now.
Yeah, actually, for the matter of fact that the Sheikh Hasina herself has made the demand that her party should be allowed to contest the election. Otherwise, it will not be a free and fair election, but it will be a coronation. And that is true. In field, many people in Bangladesh still believe that the Awami League is one of the major political force in Bangladesh, and without Awami League, if there is an issue or crime against humanity or any kind of allegation against any leader, you put ban on particular leader. How you can put ban on a political party who is having a huge followers? And as Hasina said, the 9-time elected government that party has given. So that is the that is this kind of feelings are there in the people, among the people. And the second thing, the now news reports came across me just now that there is another incident of shoot in the head of the NCP leader in Kunla. So law and order situation is very pathetic, and many people who, from the civil society, a liberal, having a liberal ideology, they are now openly saying that people lost the confidence in the government. Late administration, people don't have a confidence. And it is the failure of the government to provide a safe and secure atmosphere for the normal people in normal time. But in election time, situation may be more deteriorate.
Okay, we leave it here. Thank you very much, Naval Singh Parmar, joining us from Dhaka. All right, let's move on. As per the Mastercard Economics Institute, India is expected to remain one of the fastest growing major economies in 2026, supported by strong policy measures, favorable demographics and rapid digitalization, even as growth moderates towards long-term trends. The Mastercard Economics Institute forecasts India's real GDP growth at 6.6% in 2026. Despite this moderation, India's growth outlook remains resilient, underpinned by domestic policy support and structural strengths. Monetary easing, income tax reforms and GST rationalization are expected to bolster consumption. Targeted export support measures will mitigate downside risks from the global environment, while lower commodity and global goods prices support resilience. Digitization, technological advancement and favorable demographics position India as a key growth engine, enabling expansion of global capability centers in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Progress on the US-India trade deal will closely influence external demand, with challenges potentially accelerating supply chain diversification and bilateral agreements. Union Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav said that the Supreme Court's definition of the Aravalli Hills aims to curb illegal mining. The Union Environment Minister said mining in the Aravalli Hills is restricted to less than 1% of the area, with no new mines allowed. He stressed that most of the region remains protected and the move aims to curb illegal mining.
तो 90% तो भाग संरक्षित है। दूसरा, अरावली में बहुत बड़ी संख्या में प्रोटेक्टेड फॉरेस्ट है, रिजर्व फॉरेस्ट है, वो भी पूरा इसमें संरक्षित है। फिर जो इको सेंसिटिव जोन है, उसका जो 1 किलोमीटर का एरिया है, वो भी संरक्षित है। इवन जो ड्राफ्ट इको जोन है, उसमें भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट के रेगुलेशन के हिसाब से संरक्षण है। और इसके अलावा अरावली के क्षेत्र में बहुत सारी झीलें भी हैं। एक एक्टिविटी जो माइनिंग एक्टिविटी भी है, वो मैं आपको कह रहा हूं 0.19%, 1% से भी कम एरिया में ही माइनिंग हो पाएगी। और वहां भी माइन को कोई खोला नहीं है, वहां भी कहा गया है कि इसका एक मैनेजमेंट साइंटिफिक प्लान बनाया जाए, और अगर कोई नई स्वीकृति भी आती है तो उस नई स्वीकृति को आईसीएफआरई से पहले अनुमति ली जाए।
Next, we take a look at other stories making news around the world. As Christmas is around the corner and the world is celebrating this festival with their houses adorned with traditional fir trees, divers in Croatia are celebrating their Christmas all the way at the bottom of Lake Zarun in Zagreb. 3 divers from the Underwater Sports Society took the decorated Christmas tree dressed as a Santa into the depths of the Lake Zarun. It is a club tradition that dates back to 10 years. Hue, known as Vietnam's ancient imperial capital, famous for its UNESCO-listed imperial citadel, saw over 170 cultural and tourism events in 2025, welcoming more than 6 million domestic and international visitors. The closing ceremony of the National Tourism Year 2025 took place within the imperial citadel, featuring a vibrant artistic performance celebrating Vietnamese pride and heritage. The Friends of Santa Claus volunteer group delivered toys to communities living in the riverside rural area of Amazonas state, Brazil. The initiative is expected to benefit about 900 children. Since 1998, the Friends of Santa Claus volunteer group has been promoting Christmas for children in rural and riverside communities in the Amazon rainforest. Locals in Cape Town, South Africa are struggling due to high rent costs amid deepening housing crisis in the state. The rental boom is pushing low-income groups out of the inner city. Increasingly, private and city-owned abandoned buildings are being occupied across Cape Town. You're watching DD India News Hour, still to come on the show. Ukraine peace talks in Florida were productive and constructive, says U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff, as U.S., Europe and Russia engage on peace plan. In a tragic incident, nearly 16 people killed and several others injured in Indonesia's Java main island. And India Meteorological Department issues orange alert for dense fog in eastern Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, snowfall warning in Jammu and Kashmir, yellow alert in 10 states.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
Exactly what save your country.
You read between the lines, cut the clutter and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. A quick look at the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Prime Minister Modi holds phone call with Prime Minister Christopher Luxon. A landmark India-New Zealand free trade agreement announced. Under the FTA, New Zealand will invest $20 billion into India over 15 years, asserts Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese apologizes to the nation and the Jewish community over the Bondi Beach mass shooting that killed 15 people.
As Prime Minister, I feel the weight of responsibility for an atrocity that happened whilst I'm Prime Minister. And I'm sorry for what the Jewish community and our nation as a whole has experienced.
Sheikh Hasina hits out at Yunus-led interim government in Bangladesh, accuses him of failing to maintain law and order and allowing extremism. And Veena Sikre, former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, joins us on the show now. Welcome, Veena ji, to the program. Namaskar. Former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has sharply criticized the Mohammad Yunus-led interim government for straining bilateral ties with New Delhi. Would you describe this as an example of plain speak or not?
Yes, I think in her interviews, she's given two over the last 2 days, and she's been very frank and honest, and she has actually demanded inclusive elections. She said that unless the elections are inclusive and participatory, there will never be, stability and prosperity in Bangladesh. And she has spoken out strongly on the way in which Mohammad Yunus has allowed the minorities to be attacked, the Hindus, the Buddhists, the Christians, the Sufis and the Ahmadiyyas. And, how he has not only allowed them to be attacked, but he's in complete denial. Anybody asks Mohammad Yunus what is happening, he says, oh, that is fake news from India, he says, So he is not in complete denial. It's only the last incident with the absolutely barbaric killing of Dipu Chandra Das, where he was, the factory handed him over to the mob, and then he was beaten to death and then hung on a stake, his dead body is hung on a mast and burnt. I mean, I cannot believe in the 21st century such things are happening, are being allowed to happen. And even then, all that moment said, oh, we have arrested 7 people. We know that there will be no trial against them. They'll be released on bail. Throughout the last 18 months, this has been continuing absolutely unabated. And the effort by the Jamaat-e-Islami, which is the real power right now in Bangladesh, the effort is to push out the minorities and to have a caliphate, to have a Wahhabi Islamist government in Bangladesh, and to have a caliphate which will bring in Sharia law. And actually, Sheikh Hasina is absolutely right in the lawlessness that she's talking about, because the law and order situation has completely collapsed. We know that in July, August last year, the so-called students, we know it was not a student uprising, it was not spontaneous, there was no revolution at all, it was just a regime change operation, Pakistan acting through Jamaat-e-Islami backed by the Western powers. And in that, they have, tried to bring in this Wahhabi Islam, but they killed many policemen. And they have openly spoken about it. They said if we did not kill the policemen, we could not have succeeded. And because of them having killed so many policemen, burnt so many police stations, taken over the weapons, seized the weapons from the police stations, that now the law and order situation in Bangladesh is very difficult to control. And actually, there really needs to be a very strong, Yunus as caretaker chief cannot conduct the election. He has no authority to conduct these elections, because even the interim government that he has been leading for all these months is an unconstitutional government. It has no provision in the constitution for it. And in any case, even if you want to consider it a caretaker government, then there has to be, only 90 days, a non-party government, and to hold free and fair and participatory elections. But he's been there well beyond 90 days. He has allowed Islamist parties to join his government as advisors. Now they are busy resigning because they want to take part in the election, but they've been there all these 18 months. And they have absolutely been no attempt to have free and fair elections, because unless an election is participatory and inclusive, it cannot be considered free and fair. So this is, I think, a very, very important point, and Sheikh Hasina has quite correctly highlighted all these issues. She has, praised the relations with India, because, and India on the first day in our message to, in Prime Minister Modi's message to Dr. Mohammad Yunus, he spoke about this, that India felicitates you, we want to continue the cooperation, and we request you to look after the minorities. None of this has happened, because he's not been looking after the minorities at all. Mohammad Yunus has let them go absolutely as fodder to the extremists, and he has not continued the economic cooperation at all. He has turned back every decision. He's shown no interest. He's talking about Northeast. He goes to China and talks about Northeast getting access through Bangladesh. Quite forgetting about the realities of geography and territorial sovereignty of India. So I think that...
So Sheikh Hasina also alleged, ma'am, that the Mohammad Yunus-led government is allowing extremists to dictate foreign policy. How far would you say this is true, and what could be the potential consequences for Bangladesh itself and for India-Bangladesh relations?
Absolutely, because as I said, Pakistan has been acting through the Jamaat-e-Islami. The Jamaat-e-Islami, as a radical conservative party, is trying to bring together all the other Islamist groups in Bangladesh. The Islami Andolan Bangladesh, the Hizb ut-Tahrir, and also the organization Hifazat-e-Islam. And they are trying to bring them together and get voted in as a Islamist government who wants to bring in Sharia law. And this is not acceptable to the people of Bangladesh. And Mohammed Yunus has allowed these organizations. Imagine, for example, to give you one example, this the NCP, this Inqilab Mancho leader, Osman Hadi, who was shot at and then died after that. He's a person who has a group. He's not been known to the people of Bangladesh except for the last 18 months. And now, Mohammed Yunus is saying reams of praise about him, shedding tears over him. They've named a conference center in his name, all in order to encourage the radical Islamist groups and to tell them that this is what you should keep on doing, so we will honor you. This is actually what the Jamaat-e-Islami wants, and they're acting through Mohammed Yunus. He's just the mouthpiece. He's doing what they want him to do. And it's shocking to see that a person like Usman Hadi, he spouts the most anti-India rhetoric. So actually, Mohammed Yunus is trying to normalize this anti-India rhetoric. He's saying this is the way it will be, this is what's going to happen. So actually, we have to really take cognizance of this, and I think Government of India has put in very strong messages, démarche and note verbal, saying the elections must be free, fair, inclusive and participatory. That is the only answer, that they must be free, fair, inclusive and participatory. The Awami League, Jatiya Party, all the others must be able to take part. And once it is free, fair and participatory, anybody can get elected. And whoever is elected will be representing the people of Bangladesh, and surely it will be then a stable, prosperous and democratic Bangladesh. The people of Bangladesh want it. There have been opinion surveys published in the Prasar Bharati, which said that 70% of the people of Bangladesh want the Awami League to take part in the election. It doesn't mean that they will vote for Awami League, but they want Awami League to take part so that, in fact, it is a genuinely democratic election, and after that, the process of governance can start.
Yes, finally, at this point, do you envisage Bangladesh seeing the light and the interim government course correcting? Also, what do you see happening to Bangladesh's polity in the days ahead?
It is a very tense period, and certainly the Western powers have made up their mind, it's impossible to change, etc., etc. But this is an illegitimate government. It's not a constitutional government. It has no right to exist. So actually the will of the people says that they want free, fair and participatory elections. The national opinion surveys show it. The fact that the people who are now campaigning for the February elections are not being accepted by the people of Bangladesh. There's violence. One person, Osman Hadi, died. After that, another leader of the NCP was found hanging in the Dhaka hostel. A third person has been shot at today in Khulna. So this is not an ordinary situation, and any normal, natural, legitimate government would take cognizance of it. But this Mohammed Yunus government not being legitimate at all, they're just doing what they want, what the Jamaat-e-Islami wants them to do, and they're going ahead regardless. I think it's very dangerous what the Government of India has been saying, that they must have participatory elections. That is the right way, and I do hope that Government of India would be thinking of many more measures to make sure that the elections are free, fair and participatory and inclusive.
Not much time left, for the interim government to course correct, because obviously elections are just 2 months away, less than 2 months away now. Thank you very much, Avina Sikriji, for joining us on DD India News Hour. Australia's New South Wales State Parliament was recalled on Monday to vote on proposed new laws that would impose major curbs on firearm ownership, while new court documents detail the Bondi Beach terror attack. Sajid and Naveen Akram allegedly planned this attack for months. This is what the police told the court. They surveilled the site and carried weapons and explosives. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese apologized to the nation and took responsibility for the atrocity that shook the nation.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese apologized to the country's Jewish community and called for bipartisan support as he pushes for new laws against hate speech and extremism. Tens of thousands, including Australian Prime Minister and other leaders, attended the heavily guarded main memorial event in New South Wales.
As Prime Minister, I feel the weight of responsibility for an atrocity that happened whilst I'm Prime Minister. And I'm sorry for what the Jewish community and our nation as a whole has experienced. The government will work every day to protect Jewish Australians, to protect the fundamental right as Australians that they have to be proud of who they are, to practice their faith, to educate their children, and to engage in Australian society in the fullest way possible.
The Parliament of Australia's New South Wales state was recalled on Monday to vote on proposed new laws that would impose major curbs on firearm ownership following the mass shooting on Sydney's Bondi Beach last week. The new rules will cap the number of guns an individual can own to 4 or 10 for exempted individuals like farmers. The legislation would also ban the display of terrorist symbols. Authorities will also be able to prohibit protests for up to 3 months following a terrorism incident.
We're introducing new laws, tough new laws, to protect the community, to crack down on hate and strengthen public safety. The legislation bans the public displays of terrorist symbols, outlaws violence, incitement to violence in New South Wales, and gives police stronger powers during public assemblies.
Removing guns from our street makes our streets safer. We have more than 1.1 million guns in our state. And reducing the number of those, particularly for rec shooters, I think is reasonable.
Meanwhile, court documents released on Monday have revealed that the suspect, Naveed Akram, conducted firearm training in an area of New South Wales outside of Sydney with his father. Akram has been transferred from the hospital to jail. He's facing multiple charges, including terrorism and 15 murders. Anamika's report for DD India.
All right. DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us on the story now. Akshay, how strong is the bipartisan support for these proposed hate speech, extremism and firearm curbs? And what resistance, if any, is emerging within Parliament or from civil liberties groups?
Well, the incident that has taken place in Australia has shook, people across party lines. There is a bipartisan support as far as certain measures of the government are concerned. And as you have rightly showed in the report, the government is in pressure as far as the attack is concerned regarding the gun reforms, regarding other sort of issues that are there, regulations of protests, as far as, the hate symbols are concerned, hate speeches, anti-Semitism, all of these issues are concerned. There is a new emerging, bipartisan support for, stricter action against anti-Semitism, anti-hate, as the Prime Minister has said about, curbs on displaying any kind of hate symbols and all of that. However, if you look at the bipartisan support, while it is there, it is limited. It is not very deep. It's conditional. It's many a times, as far as the support is concerned, not through all the wordings of the government's statements as far as these curbs are concerned, these measures are concerned. In certain areas like in the New South Wales, people have also spoken against these gun reforms that they think is an attack on their civil liberties. Certain conservative groups have questioned the government as far as their action is concerned, stating that the action could have come sooner, and as far as the proposed gun reforms are concerned, and the kind of issues that the government is focusing on right now are misplaced as well. So the Bondi attack has shook Australians at large scale, and even at the national level, and now we are seeing the Prime Minister himself coming and apologizing to the Jewish community there. But as far as the bipartisan support is concerned, is there, but it's also waning as the days are passing, and the government is being questioned on a full Royal Commission inquiry into the entire incident. So while at this point in time there are certain even the factors of the opposition parties that are in support of certain measures by the government, there are still criticism and questions that are being raised on the way the government has handled this entire issue. So the government may have a difficult time as far as passing these reforms, and also properly ending the things to a proper conclusion as far as the investigation into this case is concerned. And curbing sort of larger ramifications that can have because of this attack that has taken place in Australia.
Very tragic incident. Thank you very much, Akshay Dongre, for reporting on the story. Still to come on DD India Newshour. Birthplace of Jesus Christ, Bethlehem, all set to host tourists for Christmas. watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. On to Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Talks held between the US, European and Ukrainian officials over the last 3 days in Florida aimed at ending the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff called these meetings and separate talks with Russian negotiators productive and focused on a shared strategic approach between Ukraine, the US and Europe. The meetings in Miami were the latest in a series of talks between the US, Russia and Ukraine on a US-drafted 20-point plan to end the conflict. Witkoff said that the US-Ukraine meeting focused on 4 key points: further development of the 20-point plan, a multilateral security guarantee framework, a US security guarantee framework for Ukraine, and further development on economics and prosperity to rebuild Ukraine. Southeast Asian foreign ministers meet in Malaysia on Monday, seeking to end border clashes between Thailand and Cambodia that have killed at least 40 people and displaced more than 500,000 this month. ASEAN members, Thailand and Cambodia, are scheduled to attend the gathering in Kuala Lumpur, the first face-to-face meeting between the governments since the fighting resumed on December 8th. Bangkok and Phnom Penh each accused the other of moves that led to the breakdown of the July ceasefire and a wider October peace deal. Heavy exchanges of the fire have occurred in many of the long disputed areas along their 817-kilometer land border from forested inland areas near Laos to coastal provinces. Meanwhile, Thai Foreign Minister called for demining for the ceasefire to prevail. Thailand and Cambodia officials will meet on 24th December for border talks. Staying in the region, in a tragic incident, at least 16 people were killed and several others injured after a bus lost control and struck a concrete barrier before rolling on the road in Indonesia's Java main island early on Monday. The inter-province bus was travelling from Jakarta to Yogyakarta when it overturned while entering a curved exit ramp near Semarang city. The rescue team and police arrived soon after the accident and launched a rescue operation. 15 people were pronounced dead at the scene, while another person died in hospital. Authorities are yet to confirm the cause of the accident. Transport accidents are common in Indonesia. In 2024, at least 12 people were killed when a car crashed into a bus and another car on a busy highway. And in 2019, at least 35 people were killed when a bus plunged into a ravine on the western island of Sumatra. And on to weather updates now. Intense cold wave conditions and dense fog continue to disrupt normal life across several northern states of India. The India Meteorological Department issued alerts amid persistent foggy conditions. For Delhi, IMD predicted a partly cloudy sky with moderate fog in many places. The minimum temperature is expected to be around 20 to 22 degrees Celsius, while the minimum temperature will fall between 8 to 10 degrees Celsius. Dense to very dense fog during night and morning hours is likely in some parts of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana till December 27th. Minimum temperatures are expected to rise gradually by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius over northwest India during the next 3 days. There will be no significant change in minimum temperatures over Maharashtra, central India and northeast India during the next 7 days. So let's bring you more updates on the weather from the northern cities. Cities including Delhi, Ayodhya, Jaipur, Banaras and Jaisalmer witnessed low visibility as winter conditions intensified. Dense fog covered the national capital, reducing visibility and slowing traffic during morning hours. Thick fog enveloped Ayodhya, impacting early morning movement across the city. West Indian city of Jaipur woke up with heavy fog and low visibility affecting commuters. Fog shrouded North India's Varanasi, limiting visibility along roads and the ghats around the river Ganges. Cold desert conditions intensified as dense fog blanketed Jaisalmer city of Rajasthan. Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport has issued advisory to all passengers travelling from the Delhi airport. Low visibility procedures are still in progress at the airport, but authorities have confirmed that all flight operations are currently functioning normally. Passengers are advised to contact their respective airlines for the latest updates on arrivals, departures and flight schedules. The airport continues to monitor conditions closely to ensure safe and smooth operations. In Leh Ladakh, light to moderate snowfall has been recorded at many places across Kargil district since Saturday night. According to the latest weather update, light to moderate snowfall is likely to continue at many places in Kargil and Zanskar. Leh has turned into a white wonderland with its first spell of snow. Visuals from Leh showed trees completely covered in snow and houses and fences also blanketed in snow. Leh recorded a minimum temperature of -2 degrees Celsius. Sonmarg in the Kashmir Valley witnessed the first snowfall of the season on Sunday, covering the region in a thick blanket of white. Srinagar continues to experience a persistent cold wave with foggy mornings. Heavy fog is visible in the visuals near Dal Lake, with boat rides and sightseeing still operating. India's push towards Atmanirbhar Bharat in defence, that is self-reliance, and in defence and internal security received a fresh boost today as the Defence Research and Development Organisation DRDO and Rashtriya Raksha University signed an MOU to strengthen collaboration in research, education, training and technology support. The MOU was signed at the South Block in New Delhi in the presence of Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, marking a significant step towards building indigenous capabilities for defence and internal security during the Amrit Kal. The partnership brings together DRDO's cutting-edge technological expertise and Rashtriya Raksha University's academic and policy strength in internal security. The collaboration will focus on joint research projects, PhD fellowship programs, specialized training for security forces and studies on emerging operational challenges. The initiative is expected to enhance technology preparedness, support life cycle management of DRDO-developed systems for security forces, and reinforce India's strategic autonomy through a whole-of-nation approach. St. Petersburg, Russia's second largest city and former capital of the Russian Empire, is counting down the days until New Year and Christmas. The city is traditionally decorated for the festive season with elements inspired by its imperial past. Glittering crowns and stylized double-headed eagles adorn the street after dusk. Take a look. So with those glittering visuals from St. Petersburg, we wind up this edition of DD India Newshour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download the DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja. From all of us here in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.